funny that it's Essendon player testing positive or something, isn't it?
Pull your finger out of your ass.
Jeez.
This is my first ever football jumper. My three votes, I should say. My three goats. My three votes for Charlie. Oh, top of the world, mate.
What a time to be alive.
I look a bit like Nickel Bellic from GTA 4, I feel, with this.
That could get dangerous. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of the Pressure Point podcast. What a weekend of footy. How was your weekend, mate?
Oh, I think you know the answer to that, mate.
Yeah, it was a loaded question, that one.
It was tough. It was a tough weekend.
Yeah, it was. It was
to say the least.
Pretty fresh from it as well.
Yeah, it was just yesterday, last night, twilight, 5:30 goal, 5:10 game, I should say, and everything worked in our favour. We had all the right results go our way from other teams. We were 2 goals up in the last quarter. We came back from a deficit. We hit the lead. We were looking good, and not for the first time this year. We blew it and lost by a 4-point margin. So disappointing to say the least. But I'll probably get into it a little bit more as we move on.
Yeah. It was a good. Well, I mean, the last 2 minutes of that game were pretty wild.
Oh, it was heated. It was great. It was good quality football.
Yeah,
in that last couple of minutes.
What did you think of the Freo Guernsey?
I loved it.
Yeah,
I actually want one. I want one of those jerseys. They're really nice.
They should wear them permanently.
I reckon there'll be a push for them to come back. The fans loved it. Yeah. They really got around the atmosphere in Fremantle. They had the guy lifting the anchor and everything.
Yeah.
It was that. Look, if it wasn't the circumstances that it was, I would have loved that whole spectacle.
Yeah.
And I still kind of do. But yeah, I think the jumper's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good to see. And yeah, that result last night has thrown the top 8 race wide open. If it already wasn't, it's even more wide open now. There's about 4 teams that can finish 8th, and to be honest, no one really wants to finish 8th, do they?
I was about to say, no one wants it. Everyone's losing games that they should be winning, except Carlton. Carlton got up on the weekend, which I know you're going to talk about. But I don't know. I can't pick a top 8 team at the moment. Look, to be honest with you, I looked during the week before the game, and I had a look at all the other sides that are competing for the same spot. Looked at all the fixtures going forward, and I thought, geez, we're a good chance here. Like, we've got all very winnable games, which I know we've had previously and lost, but I thought still a chance. So to blow this one was pretty disappointing because I really thought this is a great opportunity for us to sneak in 8th, if not 7th, with West Coast having that loss as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it was hard. Yeah,
I mean, any of those teams can easily finish in that 8th spot. I think Richmond and Carlton have the more favourable 3 games to go.
And our percentage helps too.
Percentage is quite good. Essendon's percentage is good, but I think they've got some tough games, and then they've got Bulldogs this week. So
in saying that, though, they came close to Sydney.
Yeah, that's been the theme of Essendon's year. They've been quite good, but they just can't quite beat the top teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, if they played finals, they would give it a bit of a shake. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, I guess, because especially when both our teams are in the exact same spot with 3 games to go, it's crazy.
Absolutely. And I mean, this isn't even throwing shade towards you guys, but normally at this point of the year, both of us have a good idea whether we're playing finals or not.
Absolutely.
And, now we have no clue.
Well, I can't even remember the last time with 3 games to go that our season was still alive. I reckon it's been at least 8 years.
Well, there you go. And I mean, to go the other way around, we're normally top 4, so I'm sort of used to being solidified by this point.
You're playing for a double chance in a few weeks usually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's it's been tough. It's all been not tough. Tough's the wrong word. It's been different, I should say. It's been different.
Yeah. So it's exciting. We may as well touch on the Blues while we're on them. It was a good win on Friday night.
I've been waiting for this.
I mean, it was the perfect. After the week that we had and the performance against North Melbourne, it was the perfect response for it. I feel like if we beat the Saints and it was a pretty sloppy game and, when he just got over the line, we probably would have been like, oh yeah, what was that? It was still a bit crap, but that was the perfect response. We played some great footy. We dominated them all over the park. The scoreboard was probably flattering for them. I think we were definitely more than a 30-point win for us, I feel. And yeah, we just had winners all over the park. It was great to see. Jack Silvani playing as our ruck was enormous. He got my 3 votes, and Sam Walsh.
Yeah, he does it week in, week out. It's not news anymore when he has a good game.
Yeah, he's not human. Kicked 3 goals, 26 touches. He's a freak. And then Harry Mackay kicked 5 goals in the first half.
Could have had more.
He
missed that one directly in front.
Missed 2 directly in front. Drop punt.
But we've got Tom Lynch doing the same thing. I can't say much, but yeah, it's disappointing to see key forwards do that. And I want to know the reasoning behind it. Like, why can't key forwards kick goals 15 metres out directly in front?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
We know with Harry, and we've touched on it before, how Harry prefers the snap. We know that. He doesn't like the drop punt. Still not an excuse. You still should be kicking those. And then Lynch, he doesn't snap he rarely snaps, but you've got to be kicking those.
Yeah.
And it's a common theme at the moment with a few key forwards going around.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, he nailed one from about 60 out as well on a tight angle. So he's a freak. He's going to win the Coleman, and he's got a good lead now. But the big news for that night was seeing Charlie Curnow run back out. Geez, that warmed my heart to see him out there and kicking that goal off one step from 60 was spine-tingling stuff.
It was good for footy, wasn't it?
That. Yeah.
There's good for footy stories, and this was not only good for Carlton, it was good for the footy world to see Curnow back on the park, and not without controversy. People have been questioning critics whether it was the right decision to bring him back. I mean, like you said, he's been training with the team for nearly 2 months, you said.
There's people that have no idea about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But he's been in full training for 2 months. So it couldn't have been any slower getting him in.
Trust me, they've learnt the hard way not to rush Curnow back.
He was more than ready. More than ready.
Yeah, of course, he didn't have the impact that he might have in his
we
prime.
didn't want that.
Yeah, but he hasn't played in 700 days or whatever it was. Of course, he's not going to have that kind of impact.
It was all mentally for him. The next month is all to get himself confident again and being able to compete at that level.
And if he can kick a few goals in the meantime, even better.
And then this will be perfect going into pre-season.
Yeah.
So I love it. And then just before the game, seeing him and Harry line up together in the forward 50 just brings a smile to your face because I think there was a stat we've only seen them play together about 15, 20 times, which is ridiculous. So,
considering how long they've both been at the club.
Yeah. So it was great. That was it was a good night to be a Carlton supporter that night. We've made up for it, which is made up for that terrible week the week before.
Yeah, I think he bounced back in the perfect manner.
But COVID strikes again in the AFL world.
It's not going away, is it? Doesn't matter. One state finally gets its shit together and another one carks it pretty much. So we saw Brisbane this time. Queensland, I should say. Not just Brisbane, Queensland as a whole.
So we had, 3 games relocated all to Melbourne on Sunday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
Which,
chaos.
I know you mentioned it before we recorded, but people are saying that the AFL has knowledge before everybody else does about what's happening with COVID. I don't think so. I don't think they would have sent clubs from Melbourne to Brisbane if they knew that they were going to have to turn around and come straight back to Melbourne. So that's a little bit silly, that one for mine.
Yeah. It was bizarre. And it's just more for the players. You know, how are you meant to – you're preparing for a game. Like Melbourne were ready to play Gold Coast on Saturday afternoon and then pretty much on their way to the ground. It's all right, get back on a plane, go back to Melbourne, you're playing tomorrow.
Yeah, it throws everyone out of whack. I mean, it's
Gold Coast they'll lose their home game as well.
Yeah,
so
it's nuts. I mean, look, and you get people that play football and go, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Just move it a day. It doesn't make that much of a difference." But look, mate, when you're playing like myself, Resi's in Div 4, the preparation that we have compared to what these guys do is you can't compare. Yeah. And to throw them off a day like that, it ruins everything because the whole week is planning and preparing for that one day. Yeah. So when it moves, everything's thrown out of whack. Yeah. So of course it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. So we had 5 games on Sunday, which was nuts. So
good to see. And the Olympics, which I don't know if you've been watching much of, but they've been great at the moment.
How good is the Olympics? It's so good.
It's the most I've ever watched through every other year that we've had it. And this has been fantastic to watch. I'm loving it at the moment, especially because the Aussies are doing pretty well.
Yeah. You just get around sports that you'd never watch. And
absolutely.
You back them, back the Aussies in, and you always look out for those characters from other countries as well, and all the funny names going around. It's good.
It's a fair, mate. Some of the
highly
sports,
entertaining.
Like the dressage or the equestrian.
Your favourite, isn't it?
My favourite. I love the dressage. There's nothing better than it's the way they prance. It's so elegant.
Yeah, mate. Each of their own. Speaking of elegant, are we getting an elegant guest on the podcast soon?
I don't know if that was the right way to introduce him, but yes, we are getting a guest on the podcast. Help me talk about the Tigers. Help me vent a little bit.
Yeah.
We may as well get him on.
We'll get him on
now.
Yeah.
We'll get the phone ready. We'll get him ready to rock and roll, and I think he's coming on. Phone should be dialing. Here he is.
Hello, Dominic speaking.
You know what? You said he was elegant, and he answered just like that. That was
very elegant.
That was the most elegant way this man could have answered the phone. G'day, Dom. How are you, mate?
Not bad yourself, guys. How are you tonight?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you.
Oh, pleasure, mate. It's been a long time coming. We've tried to get you a few times, and you've weaseled your way out of it, but you finally jumped on with us. You've found some time, so appreciate that. We were just talking about the round that was, and obviously our mob, the Tigers, copped it a little bit over the weekend and didn't have the performance that we thought we were probably going to. What were your thoughts of the game as a whole?
Well, quite honestly, I thought it was one of the worst games of football I've ever watched. The end score probably doesn't do the game justice. It doesn't look as bad as what it was, but it actually was pretty bad, if you ask me. The fact that the scoreboard read 2 goals 10 to 1 goal late at half time, and the fact that no goals were scored in the second quarter, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you know what? I was laughing when you said it's one of the worst games you've ever seen, but when you actually consider how many goals were missed and how inaccurate both teams were, and it wasn't just Richmond and Freo were very inaccurate as well, and we were probably lucky early that they didn't kick straight. You're right. It actually was a pretty terrible game skills-wise. It was dewy out there. You saw a few players slipping over, but that's probably no excuse for poor goal kicking. What would you reckon, Marcus? You watched the game?
Well, was it dewy?
It was wet. You could tell it was a bit wet out there.
Not from cold
weather. Not from cold weather. Probably like a bit, even like up, how in Queensland last year, the grounds got dewy. So something similar to that, I reckon.
Well, to be fair to the guys, apparently WA have had some wild weather over the weekend. So apparently it was really windy out there, but still, it's really no excuse. I mean, they're professional footballers, as my sister says. They're paid to kick the goals. They should be kicking the goals.
Well, when you see Tom Lynch have shots from 15 metres out directly in front and miss them, and we did speak about that as well because Harry Mackay did a similar thing and we're comparing. That's when things get disappointing. We had Matt Parker do the same thing, nearly directly in front. Jack Rewalt wasn't much further out, pretty much directly in front. All missed these easy kicks on goal, and you slot those and the game turns around completely, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You can blame the umpires all you want, and I will get to the umpires in a second because there were some dubious calls that were made.
I'd love you to because I'm very passionate about this as well.
Yeah, so, I don't know what it is over there, but, Dean Marguerite is pretty pathetic at his job, and the fact that he still gets paid is just astonishing. If I was that bad at my job, I'd be getting a letter from my employer saying my employment's terminated. So, if I can be that bad at my job, sign me up.
Absolutely, mate. I want to know where to sign there for sure. Obviously, Richmond haven't had the year we wanted. Talk to us about the year. What do you think? Do you put it down to injuries? I know a lot of people, such as myself as well, the injuries obviously play a massive part. I think if we've had our full team all year, we'd be in a different situation to where we are now. Can you blame it entirely on injuries, or do you think there's other underlying issues?
So injuries are an aspect as to why we're fallen off a cliff. I was watching The Couch last night on Fox Footy, and they said Richmond have hit a wall. So, that's pretty evident in the back half of this year. We've had the one win against Brisbane. So, we kind of pulled a rabbit out of the hat for Jack's 300th. And what's really frustrating about Richmond is that we've played well in patches, but it just seems this year we haven't put 4 quarters together. We've fallen asleep for 5 minutes and we've let teams back into games. Most notably the Adelaide game where we led by 6 goals. They kicked 5 in a row. The Essendon game and the Brisbane game where we fell asleep for a bit but steadied in the end. I think it's just been one of those years where the competition has caught up to us. The gap has closed faster than expected, if you get where I'm coming from. Teams have gotten better, and I think, some of the rule changes as well, the stand on the mark rule, we haven't really adapted as well. And the shorter break as well, you got to remember last year, the season ended, end of October, and we didn't come back to full training to pretty much the new year, and the season started mid-March. So that doesn't help as well. Injuries as well. And we've lost a lot of depth as well. Markov's gone to the Gold Coast. We lost Alice a couple years ago. So I feel like we've been found out a bit, and injuries are catching up. The kids are looking a bit tired out there. Collier Dawkins, they're just not ready yet. They haven't had enough game time. So I think, it's a lot of factors as well. So it's not just injuries, but when you are missing the personnel we are missing, especially, down back, you're missing your 2 best backmen in Belter and Broad, Hawley, Boston. It does hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on the kids, and here's a question I want to ask you, Dom. Obviously, we're still a mathematical chance. We can still make the 8 if we win our last 3 games and results go our way, which so far, touch wood, they have gone our way. Do you concede now and start giving those kids game time, or do you really push and try and squeeze into the 8? Because I know, well, cousin of ours, Liam, we know he's pretty passionate about us just sort of throwing in the towel this year and playing some youth and giving it up because he doesn't reckon we're there. I'm the opposite. I still think if finals are a chance, you never give them up. So what are your thoughts? Do you reckon we start playing some youth and just get ready for next year and rebuild and, not rebuild, so just restart and go again next year? Or do you reckon we just go all out for finals, and if we don't make it, we don't make it?
So I think, we still have crack. Me personally, even if we sneak into the 8, we're making up the numbers. And even, West Coast, they're probably safe. You would think they would win one more game and just sneak in. So for me, probably the top 5 are the contenders, probably from 6th, 7th, 8th, you're a pretender. It's just one of those years where there's such a big discrepancy between the top 4 teams and the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You know what I mean? It's just, You look at Geelong, for me, they're the flag favourite. They're playing an unreal brand of footy. They've added to their list. I was one to give them a bit of stick, picking up Isaac Smith, Sean Higgins, but, it looks like it's paying dividends. They're winning and they're playing just a mature brand of footy. They didn't play their best on the weekend, but, a win's a win and 4 points is 4 points. So you take it. But with Richmond, why not have a crack? In terms of playing kids, I do want to say this. So there's a guy by the name of Noel Cumberland in the VFL, and I feel like he needs to come in for Jakey Arts or Jason Castagna, because the fact that Castagna's kicked 5 goals in, 8 weeks, it's just not good enough for a small forward. And Jakey Arts, he hasn't done anything since the Geelong game 10 weeks ago when he kicked 4 goals. So I think some changes do need to be made. And, a lot of supporters give Jack and Lynch a fair bit of flack, but it's not really their fault. With the ball coming inside 50, they're sending Hail Marys inside the forward 50. How can you expect them to take a mark? You might take 1 or 2 times out of 10, but you can't expect them to do it every time. So I don't think Jack or Lynch have anything to answer for. I think it's our delivery inside 50. Yeah, it's just frustrating, This team, they're playing an unreal brand of footy for 4 years, and then this year we've just gone to garbage.
What about the dynasty? Is it alive or is it over? What are your thoughts on it going? Well, unlikely to win it this year, but what are your thoughts on next year and the year after?
Look, I think, we're good enough to make the 8 next year. We just need to add to our list as well. We've got a good draft team this year. I believe we've got 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. So if we use those wisely, Marcus, I still think, we could be in a good position for next year. You just got to look at Sydney and what they did. They did a bit of trading of the draft picks and shuffling things around. And look at them now. Who would have thought there would be a premiership contender? You look back 2 years ago, they were in the bottom 4, even last year. And now they're pushing for a top 4 spot. So I think it's about the way you recruit and the way you sort out your draft picks. We'll see what happens November. So hopefully Richmond can add to their list. But till the draft comes around and you see who's putting in the hard yards over the preseason, probably won't know until then. But I'd like to think, we could push for finals.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Dom. I think we are definitely still a chance. And, even if we don't win it this year, which like Marcus said, the chances of that happening are pretty slim. I don't think the dynasty dies if you have one off year in between that. We've seen other teams do it, and we've had other patches of, dominance in our past as well, just speaking purely Richmond terms. So I still think we're alive and a good chance if we go again next year. And like you said, you get the right numbers in. And some players that have been rumoured to come to the Tigers, I'll just mention 2, and you know who I'm going to talk about already, in Tom Mitchell and then the guy that dominated us on the weekend, Adam Chera. If you had to pick out of those 2, who do you think would be best suited to come to Richmond at this period of time?
I'd like to, get Adam Chera because he's young and he's still got his best footy ahead of him. Tom Mitchell is still a good player, but he's pushing towards the age of 30 now. And do we really want to recruit another 30-year-old? It's nothing against him personally. I just feel like it would be more beneficial to get a kid in because there's so much more potential there to develop and improve.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Mitchell would be good if we were probably in a situation similar to Geelong, where we go, yeah, we're definitely a good chance of winning the flag. Let's bring in as much experience and talent as we can, just to give it one last crack type thing. But I think if you're looking to do what Geelong have done in recent times and stay in the hunt for the last, how long has it been? 10, 12 years now. They've been in the hunt for finals, top four, flags even. I think you've got to keep these talented youth coming through. And Chera's already a developed midfielder. It's not like we have to, have faith in him and hope that he comes good. He's already good. So in that sense, it's a safe bet because he's a good player already, and we're just moving him along and hoping he grows that little bit more. So it'll be interesting either way. But I do like what you said about Noah Cumberland. I'm a big fan of bringing him in, and it does need to be some change made in the side. And there's even another Rioli running around in the VFL that's apparently doing some exciting things and applying plenty of forward pressure, which I feel like we're lacking at the moment compared to Richmond of 2017 that was so famous for our forward pressure when Jack was our only tall. You look at us now, we're a shell of what we were in terms of pressure back then. So maybe a player like Rioli for his pressure acts could be someone we'd look at.
Yeah, exactly. And I also wanted to add, I forgot to mention before, a player that I've also given a lot of stick to is Sydney Stack. And, at first I didn't like Brian Mansell as well. I thought he was, kind of useless. But yesterday, Mansell and Stack, they stood up when it counted. I know we didn't get the 4 points, but, I think it was the last quarter, Fremantle sent a kick inside 50. We're 4 points down, so this is when Saronga just kicked the goal, and they were attacking again. Sydney Stack just went back with the flight of the ball. Didn't really care about his safety, just did the team thing, put his body on the line, and, it's acts like that supporters admire, and that's when, my respect for Sydney Stack went to 100%. Had no fear for his safety, didn't give a crap. Tough as nails, was willing to put his body on the line to try and will his team over the line. Just unfortunate we didn't get there in the end. But, Sydney Stack, the way he's been playing the last week or two, the future's looking all right. So it's not looking as bad as what it seemed a couple of weeks ago. Just hopefully we can get some continuity in our game and hopefully get a few guys back from injury, because it's just been really tough having 5 changes each week. How can you play great footy if you're making 5 changes each week? You know what I mean? There's no continuity. There's no consistency in the team because you've got that many changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, just quickly, Dom, we're going to put you through the pressure cooker. It's a famous segment we got here at the Pressure Cooker podcast. But just before I put you through, I want you to make, while you're on air, this is going live to millions of people, obviously. I want you to make a public apology to Ryan Mansell, who you consistently trash talked and told me he was no good, and you've seen in the last few weeks. I want you to make a public apology to Ryan Mansell and admit that he's going to be a fine young backman.
Okay, here it goes. I, Dominic Waspalinyami, sincerely apologise to Ryan Mansell of the Richmond Football Club for bad-mouthing you. I was wrong. I take back what I said. The last 4 weeks you've stood up, you've played great footy, and I'm sure there's a future for you next year.
There we go, mate. That's all I wanted to hear. I appreciate that. You've done well. I know it's hard for you to apologise even when you know you're wrong, so I appreciate you doing that, mate. Well, like I said, we're about to put you through the pressure cooker, so if you don't know, it's a segment we got here on the podcast where we ask you just a few quick questions where you got to answer just the first thing that comes to your mind off the top of your head. So without further ado, I'll bring in the intro music, and once that finishes, we'll take it away. So here we go.
All right.
All right, Dom, if you had to delist one player on your team, who would it be?
Castagna.
I knew that was the answer. I knew it. All right, well, on the other hand, Dom, if you can bring one player from another list, who would it be? And it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be out of contract. Anyone.
to be honest, I wouldn't mind Tom Hawkins because, he doesn't miss that guy. Straight swap for Lynch for the moment.
Yeah,
absolutely. The way he's kicking.
Absolutely. We do need someone who can kick straight. Can't fault you there.
All right. And which team do you love beating the most?
Oh. It used to be Carlton, but, I'm going to have to say Collingwood. There's nothing better than beating those pretenders.
Absolutely.
Collingwood would have to be winning that question, I reckon, of all the people that we've had on. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the only one that said something different was Max, who is a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah.
So there we go. Yeah. That makes sense. All right, Dom. And then your last one, and God forbid if you answer this question wrong, Dom, I will drive to Altona North and beat the shit out of you. Who is your favourite Pressure Point co-host?
Can it be one of the people behind the camera?
Absolutely not, mate. It's Quinn or Marcus.
Probably you because you feed me. when I come to your house.
Good answer, mate. Good answer. We're evening up the tally. We're bringing it back. Thanks for joining us, Dom, mate.
No, that's all right, mate. No worries. Maybe I'll have to come beat you up then.
Thanks, guys.
That's right. Bring family on. I know what's best.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, mate.
Appreciate it, Dom. Speak to you soon, mate.
So tight.
Thanks, mate. I got one back. We're back. We're clawing our way back.
You didn't threaten him or anything. That's
no,
fine.
not at all. Not at all. Yeah. Mate, the amount I do for that boy. That man, I should say. He's not a boy.
God, he's elegant.
He was elegant, mate. He's just like the dressage and the equestrian. He knows what he's on about. You know what? I'm impressed with Dom. I thought he had some very valid points. He did. He sounded aggressive when he asked to come on the podcast. He sounded like he had a lot to fire up about. We didn't get the umpire thing out of him. I would have loved that.
Yeah, he started off hot with the umpires.
He did. Yeah. He did. Oh, well, let me just say, and it's partly my fault because we were watching the game together and I was losing it.
It's a Richmond thing to complain about the umpires all the time.
Well, have you seen the differential between free kicks for and against, mate? Yeah.
Oh, God, let's move on before I get beaten up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, well, let's talk about probably the biggest topic to happen over the weekend or just before the round started, and that was the Alistair Clarkson, Sam Mitchell news.
That's huge.
Clarko pretty much walking out on that succession plan that they had, and he'll be gone at the end of the year, and Sam Mitchell will be taken over. So crazy news, absolutely crazy.
Probably the most unexpected news for the weekend. I mean, I know people had said that it was going to happen, like Caroline Wilson being the main one, and props to her for getting it right when everyone said that she was wrong. She stuck by her guns, but that one was. It took me off guard. I really didn't expect it. So, do you think that was partly Clarkson had nothing to do with that idea, that succession plan, and he was filthy with it, and that's why he's walking out? Or what do you think?
I reckon he was on board with it, but then he probably just had time to think about it, and it was probably like a week. Was it about a week?
It was about a week.
Yeah. Then when it got announced, and then he probably went home, had a talk with his wife and family, and decided maybe that's not him. Who knows? He might even have other offers already.
He might.
Collingwood might have already lined him up for it, or Carlton. Who knows? It's going to be one of those two teams if he does coach again.
Well, no one else is really looking. I mean, Gold Coast is the only other one.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know. It's a tough one to say. He said in his press conference that he wasn't really looking to get into coaching like right now. Yeah. We didn't rule it out completely.
Can you believe anything he says? Well, last week he said he loves the club and he's going to do the succession plan. He's not leaving.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
And a few days later he's walking out.
Yeah, good point. So it's hard to say. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But the boys stood up for him. We've got a big win over Brisbane.
Absolutely. Well, just as Tom Morris said the other week, a lot of senior players weren't happy or aren't happy with Clarko moving on and the treatment of it. And they're the ones that sort of drove that performance yesterday. So they want to send him out in style.
Absolutely. Well, good on them, and so they should. So much the amount he's done for that club. Yep. And I know some people have their opinions, and Tom Morris mentioned it as well, how he said we're probably a bit soft on coaches and it's a business and you should move them out. But I think when someone's done as much for the club as someone like Alistair Clarkson does, I mean, obviously it's situational dependent, and they've done a rebuild and they've got young talent at the moment. So you can't say that he's failing as a coach with the list that he's got. But I mean, I think you've really got to leave it up to him. And even if you have that chat with him behind closed doors and say, look, mate, we're thinking of moving on and changing something up. But I think the way they handled it, considering what he's done, was pretty poor. Yeah.
I think Jeff Kennett copped a lot of criticism for it, and the Hawthorn fans are not happy with Jeff Kennett. I don't know if you heard the bloke call up on SEN. Jared Waitley was on. There was
a few beeps. There was a few beeps, to say the least.
Fantastic. Have you heard the one with no beeps?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
I've heard both. So no,
bloody
it was.
good.
That's the passion that you feel.
But he sums it up. Like Kennett is treated arguably their greatest ever coach. Like shit, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much. And that's why I scoff and I laughed at, when people talk about, you've had one down year. How long should you keep a dynasty coach on for after the dynasty's over? You know what I mean? Like they raised a question with Clarkson. This is before the succession plan had been announced, but it was speculated. They asked the same thing with Dimmer 1 year after we won a flag. Should Richmond be moving him on already? And so, well, hang on. These guys have done so much for the club. Now what? You have one off year, you're going to boot him. I mean, I know Hawthorn have had a couple of down years now, but they've rebuilded.
Yeah.
What do you want from them?
Exactly. They don't have the team that they had during their premiership years, do they?
No, so they've got the same list and have dropped off. Like half their guys are super young. A lot of talent for that list. So a couple of years, they'll be right back up there. So, look, I mean, I don't know the conversations that were had behind closed doors. From what I've seen, the treatment was pretty poor. And, considering what he's done for not only the Hawks but the game, I just wish all the best for Clarkson.
Yeah, absolutely. And wherever he goes, he's going to do great things. Probably, a few days ago, I was very happy about the news. Saying, here we go, Clarkson, he's coming to Carlton. But I don't know. Then after that performance the Blues put in, looked like they really want Teague there. They're really playing for him. So who knows? But if Clarkson's available, geez, you've got to ask the question, don't you?
Well, I know I just said what I didn't entirely agree with what Tom Morris said, but like you said, if there's someone better available for the job, you've almost got to do it. But
it's a big 3 weeks for David Teague.
Absolutely. Sure. But in saying that, if you bring someone like Clarkson in, but the players really don't want him because they just wanted Teague to stay, then they're not going to play for Clarkson. Exactly. Doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. If they didn't want you there to begin with. So I think that's going to be taken into consideration as well. And just quickly as well, while we're touching on Clarkson and all that as well, I still wish all the best for Sam Mitchell too. I think he's going to do good things as a coach. Obviously, it's not his fault all this has gone down the way it has, or maybe it is, but I don't think it would be.
Yeah.
I wish all the best for Sam Mitchell too, because he was doing some good things when he was at West Coast, and I think he'll be all right for the Hawks.
Highly touted. I think he was the front runner for the Collingwood job. So highly touted, and I think he'll do good with that young team, and he just really knows how to connect with those young players. So
well, he's still young himself. That's the thing as well. He's still a young guy. He only retired a couple of years ago, and he's got all the talent. He's Brownlow medalist, best and fairest winner, premiership captain. So
superstar he was.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the tribunal. Jack Viney.
Not good.
What was he doing there?
Not
what was he thinking?
I don't know. For those that don't know, explain the situation, Marcus.
Yeah, so you had Sam Collins pinned to the ground and then shoved his elbow right into his face, was pinning him down with his elbow on his face for, I reckon, a good 5-6 seconds.
Well, he was taunting him. He was talking to him while he was doing it. He was,
exactly.
So it was a rough act of. It wasn't like he just sort of clipped
completely
him.
Intentional.
100%. He was holding it there, and it was.
I don't know what he's thinking.
It's not a good look. If he doesn't cop any of this, he has to, because that's that's not even a bad look. As in, it was an accidental hit. He has deliberately done that to try and hurt him, and it's not good. Not good. Although it begs the question, though, what is Sam Collins saying to some of these players? Everyone gave Tom Lynch a bit of flack last year for knocking him, and now Viney's done. I reckon it's Sam Collins. He's the perpetrator. Let's get him.
He must be very lippy on the field then.
Absolutely.
Just getting stuck into him. So
I wonder if he went and he started punching poles in the change rooms after the game this time, or if it was just against Richmond.
After a 98-point loss, he probably was.
He probably was.
Probably doing worse than that.
Absolutely.
What about the pre-season bye? Or the pre-finals
bye, sorry. That was my bad. I wrote the show notes. I wrote pre-season in the show notes.
As soon as I said that, I was like, hang on. Why are we talking about pre-season already? Yep.
I shouldn't have admitted fault. I should have just let you cop the blame there, but I'll take that off you.
I tried to do that to you once, but you were way too good at it.
You did.
You were way too good with it. And
done it a few times.
Just read past it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, didn't get me. But yeah, it's
well done.
The AFL are doing everything possible not to bring the bye forward. They want to leave it where it is. But with the COVID situation, which is basically at the moment we don't know what it is, who knows what could happen. They might have to bring it forward. I know some clubs wouldn't mind that because it gives a couple of players a chance to come back and all the rest of it before finals. Where would you like to see it? Would you like to see it stay put?
To be honest, I'm not a massive fan of the pre-finals bye. Like I get it, but does it really need to happen? Like if the AFL are willing to have 1 week of no footy at all, why can't they do that in the middle of the season instead of spreading out the buys over 3 or 4 rounds? Why can't they just do 1 week off for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is that? I understand they want to do it before the finals, so all the good players can recover from their injuries and be fresh for it. But the 100 plus years of what there was no pre-finals bye and it was fine. So yeah, I don't know, but I think it would make sense to bring it forward, given the current situation.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think personally, I mean, this year in particular, I'd like to see it brought forward because it gives us a chance to get some players back that we're missing. But in general, I'm with you in the sense that I don't think it needs to be there. I think it kills momentum for sides as well. I think you could be in a really good role, have a week off, and sort of just kills the momentum a bit. And I'm all for having just the 1 week in the middle of the season rather than staggered weeks where you have 3 games of footy on 1 week for the next. It's a bit all over the place for mine, and yeah, I'm not sure, but I think it wouldn't hurt to bring it forward this time around and just let teams roll through into finals. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
who knows what will happen? But they're trying to avoid it. So I think if they want to avoid it, they will.
Yeah.
Unless things get really bad somewhere, but I think they'll find a way to avoid it.
Yeah. Fair enough, but I don't know. I feel like now would be the perfect time to use it. But oh well, AFL know better than us, that's for sure. Or wouldn't want to have their job in the fixturing department.
No. Although if you are hiring in the media department, we're available.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So if you're listening, Gil, talking to you, mate.
All right, well, let's move on to round 21.
Jeez,
round 21.
Scary to say.
3 weeks to go. And it all starts Friday night between Geelong and GWS at GMHBA.
Geelong have got a couple of home games to finish the year. And, Dom spoke about them before, how strong they're looking this year. They're going to win. They're going to win this game. It's as simple as that. No point going into it. They're going to win.
GWS have blown their chance to stay in the 8, so can't see them winning this one. Geelong win quite easily. Saturday afternoon, we've got Carlton and Gold Coast at Marvel.
Geez, you'd think the Blues here after what the Suns dished up, but did they bounce back?
You thought we'd beat North the other week too, so
I can relate to that. But do you think? Yeah, but in saying that, do the Suns bounce back after an embarrassment?
Yeah. Who knows? I'm definitely not going to be confident like a lot of people are with this game, just given what we did only a couple of weeks ago. So we should win. Obviously, we should win, especially now that our season's alive, finals are on the line. So, we should win this one. I mean, PTSD aside, we should win.
Yeah, Carlton should win, so I'll tip them as well. But yeah.
Richmond North. After that game.
North will win.
Yeah?
Yeah, North will win.
North as well.
We seem to be just giving it up every time we have a chance. We had the perfect opportunity and we blew it. So North.
And North are playing good.
North are playing. They didn't lose to Geelong by much, and they were right in the contest the whole game. So, and Geelong are much better than we are. So,
can you believe those odds as well? Like North at 255. Like 10 weeks ago, they would have been 12.50.
Yeah. You know? No, I can believe those odds. I'm actually surprised it's not the other way around. They're not $1.52. So.
Jeez,
North.
You've really turned on the Tigers, haven't you?
They haven't given me anything. They just don't. It doesn't look like they want to play finals, some of them. Some do. And anyway.
Yeah. All right. Saturday night, we've got the showdown, Adelaide and Port Adelaide. Is this going to be in front of no fans or they got fans?
I'm not entirely sure. It'd be disappointing to see no fans. This is always a great game, which you'd think Port would get over the line quite comfortably here.
They should. Adelaide were.
They'd be disappointed if they don't.
Yeah. Adelaide was pretty poor last week, aren't they?
They've dropped off a fair bit, Adelaide. They started really hot this year.
They beat the Hawks a couple of weeks ago, but apart from that, they'd lost like 6 in a row or something. So, they're cooked. They're done for the year. St Kilda Sydney also on Saturday night at Marvel.
You'd have to go the Swans.
Swans are looking good.
The Swans are looking too good. Essendon took it right up to them, but Essendon are a good side as well now. So you'd have to give it to the Swans here for sure.
And the Saints were terrible last week.
If the Saints lose this, that's it.
I think they're done. Their percentage is
their
terrible.
Percentage kills them already, but if they lose this, then definitely 100% that'll be done. But I think the Swans will win this one.
Yep. Sunday we've got Hawthorn and Collingwood down in Tassie. It's the first time Collingwood's playing in Tassie for premiership points.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'll get a big crowd there.
Talk about an AFL favourite, not having to travel down there.
Yeah, I know. Well, Essendon was only a few weeks ago was the first time in like 30 years. I think Carlton's only played there like twice. Now,
funny the big four don't go there down there.
Yeah, has Richmond?
We've been there.
Yeah, you've been there. Yeah, but like
on holidays and stuff. I don't know if we played there. Richo's from there.
Yeah, thought so. That's right. And Jack Rewalt.
Yep. Richo's our favourite son though. But that'll be a good game. The odds are pretty good. $1.90 to $1.94. Not good for a punter, but good for both clubs.
It'd be a good game.
Not really a big favourite.
It is hard to pick this one.
I'm going to go Hawthorn purely because it's in Tassie.
Yep.
I think Collingwood are a better side, but Hawthorn have played some pretty good games this year, being competitive in a few, and because it's in Tassie, I'm going to give them the advantage.
Yeah, both coming off big wins as well.
Huge wins. Although in saying that, Hawthorn did blow a massive lead to Brisbane.
They did, yeah.
They held on though, which was impressive.
If there was another 5-10 minutes in that game, I reckon they would have lost.
Yeah, Brisbane win that game. A couple extra minutes, but they held on and they did the job they needed to do. So
Bulldogs and Essendon.
You'd have to go the Dogs with the form that they're in. They're just flying at the moment, but nothing shocks me with the Bombers this year, which is hard to say. And I know you thought before the show I was wearing the Essendon beanie with the red and black.
Really does look like it.
No, it's the Elstonwick Amateur Football Club who are doing some good things at the moment. Yep. Shout out to the boys over there. But So Dogs for me because they're flying at the moment.
Yeah, Dogs for me as well. Sunday night we've got Freo and Brisbane at Optus. It's a tough game to pick this one as well.
I'm going Freo. Brisbane are the favourites, but I'm going Freo not just because they beat us, but because Brisbane have dropped a few games that they shouldn't have. Look, 3 weeks ago, I thought it was really impressive that Richmond beat Brisbane over there, but seeing who they've lost to in and around that time period, I don't know what's going on over there. They're just dropping easy games, and not that Freo will be an easy game, but in WA especially, they love it over there, and if they can bring some of the heat and passion that they brought against us on Sunday, they'll get up against Brisbane. Yeah,
I think they will as well. Brisbane have hit a wall. They've at one stage, I reckon a couple of months ago, they were looking like the best team in it, and they've dropped off dramatically. So I think Freo for mine. And then Monday night, final game of the round, we've got West Coast and Melbourne at Optus.
It's a big one. It's huge. It helps for West Coast that it's in WA.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to look past Melbourne though, and they've hit some good form and they've been beating the good teams. So not that West Coast are a great team, but
West Coast were putrid last week.
That's what I was about to say. They're not that they're great at the moment, but they're sitting in the 8, and Melbourne tend to beat those teams by a fair bit. So I'm going to give it to Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne as well. All right, that is all the games for round 21. Jesus, a lot of those games mean a lot for some teams. There's
you and I especially.
Some season-defining games there, and a lot of seasons could be done and dusted after this round. So it's going to be good. Still no crowd zone in Victoria. I think the week after they're planning to trial. They're going to try to. It's going to be a tight deadline for finals.
Oh, we're pushing it, aren't we? Well, next week as well, there's games in New South Wales and Queensland. Queensland's quarantine just got extended.
Yeah, there won't be games there for the rest of the season.
Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, Richmond's supposed to be playing the Giants in New South Wales, Giants Stadium. Where's that going to be played?
We're going to have to move everything.
Metricon. There's going to be a lot of movement.
I think Perth might be the best option, but they're going to have to make a decision pretty soon, aren't they?
I thought they'd already overdue from their deadline date. That's what I was aware of anyway, so I could be wrong there, and who knows? But they're going to have to make a decision quite soon, because you look at the last 2 rounds in the fixture and it all just says date and time to be confirmed, date and time to be confirmed, and we're 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
I know it's easier said than done, but...
just fix it.
Yeah, well, with COVID it's impossible, but try. So anyway, exciting times.
It is. All right, well, that is our episode done.
It's
been a good one. Been tough for you. Been tough for you for a few weeks now.
It has been. Well, you made a point before. We said Adelaide have lost 6 in a row or something like that. I think apart from that Brisbane one, we've won one of our last 6 or 7 games. So we're pretty much in the same boat. So I can't talk to them. But we've gotten through. I've had my Wolf of the Willows XPA. I've been drinking tonight during the episodes. It's gotten me through, which you can get in a Millie in my gift box. So if you look out for them, you can grab one of those. But I'm all right. I'm doing all right. I'm looking at trying to look at the positives. On game day, I'm filthy, but as the days go on, I try to look at the positives. So.
Yeah, usually by Thursday, you're over it, and you start following their Instagram page again. And
I don't unfollow them, mate. That's just us. That's just you.
Me?
Speak for yourself,
I don't do that. No, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, well, that is all we've got time for today. Make sure you leave us a review, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and keep the reviews coming. Share it with your mates. It means the world. But enjoy round 21, and we'll chat next week.